Ready for another deep dive. Today we're cracking open a book that's been on my list for a while now, Liber Kaos by Peter J Carroll.
Ooh, yeah, this one's a classic.
It's kind of like the Bible of chaos magic, wouldn't you say?
It's definitely one of the most influential books in the tradition,
Yeah.
and it's a real head trip.
Yeah, it gets pretty deep into the theory and practice of chaos magic, and to be honest, it can be a little dense at times. But that's why we're here. We're going to break down those mind-bending ideas and see if we can make some sense of it all.
Sounds good to me.
So right off the bat, Carroll kind of throws down the gauntlet. He basically says that old school magic philosophies like uh, animism and spiritism, they're like so last century.
Yeah, he doesn't mince words, does he?
Nope. He even calls them, and I'm quoting here, projections of the human psyche upon the universe.
Bold statement. But it sets the stage for his whole approach. He's not afraid to challenge conventional thinking and, shake things up a bit.
Totally. So instead of those traditional approaches, he introduces his own model, which he calls chaos magic theory, or CMT for short.
Right. And he draws inspiration from some pretty unexpected places, like quantum physics.
Yeah, magic and quantum physics. That's not a combo you hear every day.
It's a wild ride. But it makes sense when you think about it. Chaos magic is all about embracing the unpredictable nature of reality, and quantum physics shows us that at the subatomic level, reality is inherently chaotic and uncertain.
Okay, so how does that actually play out in practice? Like, how does quantum physics inform chaos magic?
Well, one of the key concepts in CMT is this idea of the ether, which Carroll describes as the medium of magical action and perception.
Okay, so what is this ether exactly? Is it like some kind of mystical substance?
It's not a physical substance in the way we normally think of it. Carroll describes it as a kind of information field that permeates everything. He even uses the analogy of a network of filaments or strings extending throughout space and time.
It's like a cosmic web connecting everything.
Yeah, that's a good way to visualize it. And just as wifey carries information, this ether carries patterns and influences how things behave.
Okay, so this ether, it's like the underlying fabric of reality.
Exactly. And by tapping into this ether, we can influence probabilities and create change in the physical world.
Okay, so how do we actually tap into this ether? What are the tools or techniques?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Carroll talks about the importance of gnosis, which is basically a state of focused awareness or trance.
So like meditation.
It can be similar to meditation, but it can also be achieved through other means like visualization, ritual, or even intense emotional states.
Okay, so gnosis is like the key that unlocks the door to the ether.
Exactly. And once you've achieved gnosis, you can start to work with the ether to manifest your will.
Okay, this is starting to sound a little bit like mind over matter.
It is, in a way.
Ah.
But it's not about simply wishing things into existence. It's about aligning your will with the underlying patterns of the ether.
Okay, so it's more like influencing probabilities than controlling reality.
Right. And it requires a deep understanding of how the ether works and how to manipulate it effectively.
This is all pretty mind-bending stuff. We're talking about rewriting our understanding of reality itself.
That's chaos magic for you. It challenges you to think outside the box and to question your assumptions about how the world works, and we're just getting started.
I can't wait to see where this deep dive takes us next. But for now, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more from Liber Kaos.
Welcome back. Ready for more Liber Kaos.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole ether thing,
Mhm.
but where are we headed next in this magical journey?
Well, remember how Carroll dismissed those traditional magic philosophies? He goes on to present his own unique system of magic.
Ooh, sounds intriguing. What's it called?
He calls them the 8 magics, and he's quick to point out that these aren't like your typical spells or rituals.
Okay, so what are they exactly?
They're more like distinct approaches to magic, each focusing on a different aspect of life and personal development, kind of like a magical toolkit for navigating reality.
All right, I'm all about magical toolkits. Let's dive into these 8 magics. Where do we start?
He begins with black magic, but it's not what you might think.
Oh, I was just about to ask. Black magic. That sounds a bit ominous.
It does, doesn't it? But Carroll's take on black magic is far from the stereotypical image of curses and hexes.
So what is it about then?
He describes it as the confrontation and absorption of the powers of death and decay.
Whoa, that's deep. So it's more about facing our fears and coming to terms with our mortality.
Exactly. He sees it as a way to tap into a primal source of power by confronting our deepest fears about death, aging, and the impermanence of all things.
I can see how that could be empowering, but it also sounds pretty intense.
It can be. But Carroll argues that by facing these fears head-on, we can gain a deeper understanding of life and a greater sense of control over our own destiny.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the next magic on the list?
Next up is death magic.
Ooh, sticking with the death theme, huh? This one sounds even more intimidating.
I know, right? But again, Carroll's interpretation is a bit different from what you might expect. He describes death magic as the art of the ninja and the knight. It's less about death itself and more about protection, defense, and setting boundaries.
So it's like a magical shield, warding off negative energies and unwanted influences.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful action is to say no, to banish things that drain you or hold you back.
I like that. So it's about taking control, protecting your energy, and focusing your power. What's next?
Let's shift gears a bit to something a little less, well, death-focused. How about blue magic?
Blue magic. All right, that sounds a bit more uplifting. What's that one all about?
Blue magic is the path of wealth, prosperity, and abundance.
Now you're speaking my language. Tell me more.
It's not just about winning the lottery or material riches, though. Carroll emphasizes that blue magic is about understanding the energy of money, its flow and movement.
Okay, so it's about more than just being financially savvy.
Right. He talks about aligning your actions and intentions with the flow of abundance, cultivating what he calls money consciousness.
Money consciousness. What does that actually mean?
It's about recognizing that money is a form of energy. It's neutral in itself, but can be used for good or ill depending on how it's directed. Blue magic is about understanding the principles of wealth creation, investing, and even philanthropy.
So it's about being mindful of your relationship with money and using it wisely to create a more prosperous and fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's about abundance in all areas of your life, not just your bank account.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling the blue magic vibes. What's next on our magical tour?
Next up is yellow magic, the magic of power, influence, and social mastery.
Ooh, this one sounds a bit more, shall we say, Machiavellian?
It can be, depending on how it's used, but at its core, yellow magic is about understanding the dynamics of power, how influence works, and how to navigate social hierarchies effectively.
So it's about learning to play the game, to wield influence and persuasion.
In a way, yes. Carroll describes yellow magic as the art of the courtier, the diplomat, and the leader. It's about developing charisma, leadership skills, and the ability to inspire and motivate others.
Okay, I can see how those skills could be valuable in all sorts of situations. But is there a danger of using this kind of magic for manipulation?
There's always that risk with any kind of power. But Carroll emphasizes that yellow magic is about understanding and working with the natural flow of social dynamics. It's not about forcing your will on others, but about inspiring them to follow your lead.
So it's about using your influence for good, for creating positive change in the world.
Exactly. It's about leading with integrity and using your power to uplift and empower others.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of yellow magic. What's next?
Next, we have green magic. And as you might guess, this is the magic of love, friendship, and loyalty.
Ah, the love magic. Everyone wants to know about this one.
It's definitely a popular one. But green magic goes beyond simple love spells or trying to control someone's affections. Carroll writes, green magic is the art of the lover and the friend. It's about cultivating genuine connections, nurturing relationships, and creating a sense of belonging and community.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. What kind of techniques would someone practicing green magic use?
Carroll emphasizes the importance of empathy, understanding, and the art of what he calls behavioral matching. This involves subtly mirroring another person's body language, tone of voice, and even thought patterns to create a deeper sense of rapport.
So it's about finding common ground, creating that sense of we're on the same wavelength.
Exactly. Green magic is about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and cultivating harmonious relationships based on mutual respect and affection.
This is making me want to go out and make some new friends. All right, we're making our way through the rainbow of magics here. What color comes next?
Next up is orange magic, which Carroll describes as the art of the joker, the gambler, and the entrepreneur.
Okay, this one sounds a bit more chaotic. What's orange magic all about?
It's the magic of trickery, adaptability, and quick thinking. It's about embracing uncertainty, seeing challenges as opportunities, and using your creativity and wit to navigate unexpected situations.
So it's about being resourceful and thinking outside the box.
Exactly. It's about always having a backup plan, being able to improvise, and never taking yourself too seriously.
I like the sound of this one. It's like the magic of making lemonade out of lemons. What about the next magic? We're getting close to the end of our magical rainbow here.
We are. Next is purple magic. And this one's a bit more complex. Carroll describes it as, purple magic concerns the mysteries of sex, death, and ecstasy.
Okay, that's a potent combination.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this purple magic.
Purple magic explores the full spectrum of human sexuality, understanding its power and energy, and integrating it into your magical practice.
So it's not just about, finding a partner or having great sex.
It's about much more than that. Carroll sees sexual energy as a powerful force that can be used for creation, healing, and even transformation.
This is starting to sound a bit, tantric.
There are definitely some similarities, but purple magic also involves exploring your own desires and inhibitions, confronting your shadow side, and ultimately embracing your sexuality as a source of personal power and magical potential.
This is definitely one of the more nuanced magics.
It is, and it's one that requires a lot of self-awareness, honesty, and a willingness to push past your comfort zone.
All right, we've reached the final color in our magical spectrum. What about octarine magic? What mysteries does this one hold?
Octarine magic is perhaps the most elusive and mysterious of them all. Carroll describes it as, octarine is the color of magic itself. It is the color of the void, of infinite possibility.
So it's like the meta magic, the magic that governs all the other magics.
Exactly. It's about expanding your understanding of the nature of reality, connecting with the source of all magical power, and ultimately forging your own unique path within the realm of chaos magic.
This octarine magic sounds like a lifelong pursuit.
It is, and it's one that requires a deep commitment to self-discovery and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
This whole system of 8 magics is incredibly fascinating. I can see how it provides a framework for exploring different aspects of magic and personal development.
It does, and each magic has its own set of risks and rewards. Carroll emphasizes that it's important to approach each path with respect and caution, to be mindful of your intentions and the potential consequences of your actions.
Wise words. So we've got this incredible magical toolkit. But how do we actually put these tools to use? How do we develop these magical abilities?
That's where things get really interesting. Carroll outlines a system of magical training in Liber Kaos.
Oh, a training system. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
All right, ready to dive back into Liber Kaos?
Absolutely. I'm dying to hear about this magical training Carroll lays out. You were just mentioning something called Liber KKK.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more controversial aspects of the book, but it's important to understand the context. Carroll was deliberately trying to be provocative, to shake things up.
I can see that. But the name is, well, it's definitely loaded.
It is, but it has nothing to do with the organization you might be thinking of. KKK, in this context, stands for Chaos Kero Nos Kybernetos, which Carroll translates as Chaos Lightning Cybernetics.
Okay, chaos, lightning, cybernetics. That sounds a bit more, shall we say, magical. So what is Liber KKK all about?
It's essentially a structured approach to developing magical abilities. It's a system of training, a path of initiation, that takes the practitioner through a series of levels, each building on the previous one.
So like a magical boot camp.
You could say that.
Yeah.
But it's not about rigid dogma or blind obedience. It's about self-discovery, experimentation, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
All right, I'm intrigued. Where does this training begin? What's the first step on this path?
The first level is sorcery. Carroll emphasizes that this is the foundation of all magical practice. It's about working with the physical world, understanding the magical properties of objects, herbs, symbols, and learning to manipulate energy in a very tangible way.
So it's about getting your hands dirty, so to speak, like actually creating talismans, brewing potions, that sort of thing.
Exactly. It's about understanding the inherent magical connections between things in the physical world and learning to use them to achieve your goals. Carroll encourages experimentation and finding what works best for you, saying, there are as many forms of sorcery as there are sorcerers.
Okay, so it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about tailoring your practice to your own unique needs and goals.
Precisely. And once you've mastered the basics of sorcery, the next level is shamanic magic.
Shamanic magic. Okay, now we're getting into some really interesting territory. What does that involve?
Shamanic magic, according to Carroll, is about exploring altered states of consciousness, connecting with spirit guides or other entities, and using those experiences to gain knowledge and power. It's about pushing the boundaries of perception and expanding your awareness.
So it's about venturing beyond the everyday world into the realm of the mystical and the unknown.
Exactly. But Carroll emphasizes that it's important to approach these realms with caution and respect. It's not about seeking thrills or escapism, but about deepening your connection to the forces of nature and the cosmos.
So it's about approaching these experiences with a sense of reverence and responsibility.
Absolutely. And after shamanic magic comes ritual magic.
Ritual magic. Okay, that sounds pretty intense. What does that involve?
Ritual magic, as Carroll describes it, is about combining the skills you've developed in sorcery and shamanic magic to create powerful ceremonies and workings. It's about using tools, symbols, and words to focus your will and intention and to channel magical energies.
So it's about bringing together all the elements of magical practice to create a truly transformative experience.
Exactly. It's about using ritual as a way to connect with the deeper forces of the universe and to manifest your will in the world.
Wow, this is really starting to sound like a comprehensive magical education.
Mhm.
But we're not done yet, are we? What are the final two levels in this training system?
Well, the next level is astral magic, which Carroll describes as the art of projecting consciousness beyond the physical body.
Astral projection. That's getting into some pretty advanced stuff.
It is, but Carroll believes that it's a skill that can be developed with practice and dedication. It's about learning to navigate the astral realms to connect with other beings and to gather information and insights that can be used to enhance your magical practice.
Wow, that sounds incredible. And what about the final level? What's the culmination of this magical training?
The final level is high magic. This is the level where you integrate all the skills and knowledge you've gained on the previous levels and use them to achieve truly profound results. It's about becoming a master of your craft, a true magician in the fullest sense of the word.
So it's about going beyond technique and becoming a channel for magical power.
Exactly. It's about transcending the limitations of the ego and tapping into the infinite potential of the universe.
This whole system of training is pretty mind-blowing. But does Carol offer any practical advice for integrating these magical practices into everyday life?
He does. He introduces the concept of chaos monasticism, which is about adopting a lifestyle that supports your magical practice.
So it's about more than just doing rituals and spells. It's about living a magical life.
Precisely. It's about cultivating certain virtues and practices that enhance your magical abilities and help you to integrate magic into every aspect of your existence.
What kind of virtues and practices are we talking about here?
Carol suggests things like meditation, visualization, dream work, keeping a magical diary, and engaging in regular acts of self-reflection and self-improvement.
So it's about creating a life that is aligned with your magical goals and aspirations.
Exactly. It's about making magic a part of who you are, not just something you do.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Liber Kaos. We've covered so much ground, from the theoretical foundations of chaos magic to specific techniques, rituals, and even a magical training program.
It's a book that's packed with information and insights, and it's one that can be returned to again and again.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. But before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just this. Liber Kaos is a challenging book, but it's also an incredibly rewarding one. It's a book that can change your life if you let it.
Well said. So to our listeners, if you're interested in exploring the world of chaos magic, if you're looking for a path of self-discovery and transformation, then I highly recommend checking out Liber Kaos. It's a journey worth taking.
And as always, happy exploring.
Until next time, keep diving deep.